I am Herbert Jones, and I am the director for the Inner Strength Gospel Choir here at Boston University.
My name is Beth Willer, and I am the founder and artistic director of Lorelei Ensemble.
My name is Scott Jarrett. I'm the director of music at Marsh Chapel.
My name is Claire McNamara, and I'm a core member of Lorelei Ensemble. I sing alto, mostly alto 1 in the group.
Well, growing up in the church, son of a deacon, so church has always been part of my life, but probably somewhere around age 8, was really introduced to, I guess what I would say, describe as phenomenal presentation and delivery of music, and music that was really stirring and interesting. There was a particular choir at the church we attended around that time in my life that was just able to do everything. I mean, from gospel to anthems to hymns to spirituals, and they did it all well.
I thought I was going to be a pianist, and it wasn't until then, middle school and high school that I started working with and playing for the choir, and I'd always sung in church choir, so choir was a natural thing for me to be involved in. But I then discovered that if the teacher was away or something, that I was always asked to lead rehearsal. I thought, well, I really like this. I want to do this.
Lorelei very much grew initially out of a musical impulse for me and motivation. And I think over the last 5 to 7 years that we've been working together, it's really evolved into more of an artistic motivation and then ultimately a cultural motivation.
Inner Strength began as a vehicle for a handful of students of color back in 1973 who found themselves, on this campus that was majority white. So definitely not the worship experience or the faith experience that they were used to coming from their various homes and home churches. A few of them were just sitting around singing one night, singing some songs that they happened to know in common. Somebody suggested they should start a choir, and one of the members there took that and ran with it, and they became the West Campus Gospel Choir. Began to catch on around campus, and a few years later sort of found themselves at home here at Marsh Chapel.
I came to this very specifically through this vehicle of women's voices, which was rooted in an awareness that I had of a lack in the repertoire, that there was really just not, comparatively speaking, not nearly as much music being written for an all-women's vocal ensemble, which happened to be an ensemble that spoke very much to me. Just simply an experience, like a sonic experience, that it was a very resonating sort of sound that seemed to speak to me individually.
When I was around 20, I remember going to see this concert of the all-male group Chanticleer, and they were great. And it basically kind of convinced me that someday I want to do this type of stuff. I'll never be able to be in Chanticleer because they're all men. Gosh, that sucks. I mean, wouldn't I love to be able to be in a group where I could function at that high level?
We've all heard the dean talk about Marsh Chapel as a place where we hope to help people match their greatest passion with the world's greatest need. And Marsh has been certainly that for me over the course of now 17 years. We have really a broad opportunity and broad mechanism to help our students of all levels, undergraduates, graduates, and alums, to find vocation and avocation in music.
So the choir from its very beginnings has always been using music as a means of creating and sustaining community for people who were looking for that community here on campus.
With any discipline, whether it's the study of theology or philosophy or science or poetry, I think music is similar in that we develop vocabularies.
We get together for 10 days every few months and work on a project. But what I think is powerful is that the connection among these singers that come back and do project after project is really based in that experience. We come back because we just can't wait to sing together again, to come back to this repertoire. That is, whether it comes from a belief system that we ourselves are rooted in, it still resonates with us individually. and as a collective voice.
We have a period of what we call prayer requests and praise reports. And students are free to, we just go around the circle, and students are free to talk about whatever they want, either what they're celebrating or, what they're struggling with, what they're dealing with, and what they need, things that they need support in.
Those are techniques and technicalities that contribute to a grammar, a musical grammar, and a broader, more full vocabulary. And part of what we do in rehearsal is establish, I would say, a standard of discipline, the care for our approach to musical material, but it's all building vocabulary.
I'm listening to the kinds of things that students are dealing with, listening to the kinds of things that they're celebrating. And then I try to find music that somehow speaks to those situations so that students can connect to the music, because I think that allows them to be more expressive when they're singing the music. And then when we go out to sing, whether it's here on campus or if we go to visit a community neighborhood church or a high school or whatever, they can sing that music with ownership and with connection and with identity and really make it connect to the audience.
To feel individually valued, but also knowing that you are creating something that is impressively important, I think, and that's what Beth's vision is over time, is to expand the repertoire, reach as many communities as possible.
So there is a disciplined approach, there is a method, but it's done as a group, and I think we come to a philosophy of music as a result of that shared exercise and that shared discipline.
Programming that we choose really tries to capitalize on intersections of sacred and secular, of mortal and immortal, of this world and other world.
For me, I think God works through the songs that we sing.
Insofar as we come together once a week for worship, insofar as we come together once a week for rehearsal, we practice community, we practice grace, we practice freedom, we practice love. And they exist on their own, but we're better at them when we practice them together and we regularly observe them. And when you practice these things in community, not in isolation, they have broader and deeper value.
You don't become an artist because you want to. You become an artist because you can't imagine doing anything else. Because you just feel uniquely, bizarrely built to provide this. And then once you have that responsibility, how are you going to play that out?
Helping people in a faith journey, in a faith construct, be people of salt and light. And that's how our music program functions.
The only thing that really ultimately makes it sacred or secular for us in the label is the text. But then what do we call music that has no text? Can that also be sacred? And I really believe that it can.
And that's what Marsh Chapel is about, and that's what corporate worship is about. It's about God, but it's about a community practicing expression of love and grace with intention and with regularity and with routine. And that affects and reaches all parts of our lives.
It's our responsibility not just in the choosing of a text or the delivery of a text, but also in our choice as composers and performers to take the musical material itself and let that be holy and let that be a spiritual experience, so that the value is found in the music making. And that's what's hopefully changing the world as much as anything.
We hope to model what we think worship can look like in the 21st century. Theology, religion, art all are reflections of a human circumstance. And they don't necessarily have to be a mirror. They can be an aspirational mirror. Church should reveal to us who we could be.
Faithfulness, and kind of leaving that open to a two-way street. Our faithfulness to God, but certainly and overwhelmingly God's faithfulness to us, and how we recognize and walk in and depend on and definitely celebrate that faithfulness from God towards us, which is, amazing in and of itself.